Albemarle County Audit Committee. Just did want to remind everybody that since we are having this meeting virtually, that this is being recorded and will be part of our minutes and be part of our record of the meeting going forward. We do have several folks online, and so I'm going to go through just the roll call and introducing all the committee members. Then I want to introduce some of our guests, and then we'll go through the items we have on our agenda. I'm Jacob Sumner. I'm the interim CFO for the county. We also have on the call with us Supervisor Ned Galloway. I don't see Supervisor Andrews on here at the moment, but maybe he'll be joining us shortly. I do see Jeff Richardson, the county executive. I also see Ms. Ellen Osborne, who is our school board representative. Also representing schools on the committee today is Jackson Zimmerman. He's the school fiscal officer, school finance officer. So he'll be representing the schools today. We do have a couple other members attending, so if you can see the screen, we have Shenandra Usher, our Assistant CFO for Operations. She will do some introductions later on as part of our agenda. Some of our other guests, we have a couple of folks from Brown Edwards and Company who are joining us today. We also have Lindsay Huff, who is our Deputy Chief of the Office of Grants and Agreements, and she will be presenting one of our agenda items as well. It looks like Supervisor Andrews is on now, so we're able to include him as in attendance on the roster as well. Since this is the first meeting of what we call our organizational meeting, the first item on our agenda is to elect or re-elect the chairperson of the committee. The CFO, the interim CFO for me, I'm serving as chair until we elect or decide to re-elect the CFO as the chair. But I will look to anyone else on the committee to see if there's a nomination for anyone else besides the CFO to be the chair. I'm happy to serve as chair if the committee sees fit.
I move Jacob Sumner, the CFO, be chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. I'm glad and honored to be the chair of this committee. So we have some exciting news today. The next item on our agenda is introduction of new auditors. So those that have been with the county for a while or have been frequent readers of our annual financial report, you'll see the audit opinion of from the same auditors for many years. And so this is best practice to take a look at our audit contract on a regular basis, and if appropriate to change auditors. And so we're here today. I want to turn the floor over to Shenandra Usher, our Assistant CFO for Operations, to introduce our new auditors. So Shenandra, all yours.
Thank you, Jacob. Good afternoon. In January of this year, the Department of Finance and Budget had a goal to put out an RFP for new audit services. So we had 3 companies submit bids for that solicitation. And on March 24th, we announced an intent to award to Brown Edwards. And we were excited that on March 29th, we had a fully executed contract with Brown Edwards. They're a regional firm headquartered in Roanoke, Virginia, and they're one of the leading firms in Virginia serving governmental and municipal entities. Brown Edwards has 3 offices with approximately 90 employees from partner to associates within an hour of the county. They are committed to ensuring compliance with all federal, state, regulatory, and industry accounting and auditing standards, to include those issued by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, the Government Accountability Office, and the Auditor of Public Accounts of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Brown Edwards was listed inside Public Accounting's top 100 public accounting firms by net revenue in 2022. Now, next, I'll turn it over to Megan Argenbright, our managing partner, and Addison Rushley, our in-charge associate, so they may share more about their background with Brown Edwards and also to review our fiscal year 23 audit plan. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm Megan. Hi, everybody. I'm the partner on the job, and I'm very excited to be working with you guys. You know, we do a lot of government audits and we really enjoy it. So we've got, you know, some plans for how this is going to work with the county and the schools. And so generally the way our audit process works is that we start with the planning phase, right, which is what we're in now. And so Addison has been diligently setting things up and prepping the team and scheduling, and we'll be out on site at the county and schools in June, the third week of June. Excuse me, on the 20th. And so during that visit, we're gonna get an understanding of your controls, your internal controls, walk through some of those, make sure that what you're telling us is happening. And we will perform the procedures required by the Auditor of Public Accounts. Those are standard across the board. We have to do those for all clients in Virginia. We'll also do VRS testing, single audit testing, and we'll do fraud inquiries. I mean, we call them fraud inquiries because that's kind of the purpose, is to give people a chance to talk to us. So we'll talk to a few key people while we're there. There are going to be people that we ask these questions to every single year, right? Shenandra, Jacob, like we are going to ask you the same questions every year. But then we also rotate and ask people in different departments who are not getting the opportunity to speak with us. That includes, we do send a letter to the the Board of Supervisors and the school board that would open up communication if anybody on the school board or Board of Supervisors wanted to speak to us directly about any concerns they had. So part of that whole June process is really to just, we're getting started, we're getting as much done as we can. It's more fun to do work in June than it is in October and November. So we're just trying to move as much to that time frame as we can. In July, we'll do the school activity fund audit. And that should be done and issued by the end of August is always our goal, sometimes beginning of September, but to get those audits completed and finished and out the door. And then we'll be on site for final field work in October. And that's going to be when the nitty gritty happens, when we're really verifying the numbers as of June 30th. And Addison's already started kind of getting stuff together, since we are going to be preparing the report. So getting as much of that set up now as we can, but then after field work is when he'll really dive into getting that whole report together. So I don't know, Addison, anything you want to add to the work plan side of things?
Not really anything specific. I mean, I know Megan kind of outlined the process. As with any governmental audit, it can feel like it takes more than just 1 or 2 months. So especially with this being the first year that we're working on the job, we kind of know that there's going to be some quirks to get through along the way, but we're really excited. So it's always fun coming into a new audit and getting to meet new people. So
yeah, I love that it takes like 2 minutes to tell you how this whole process is going to work. But as everybody knows, right, it does take a lot of different people from all aspects, and so it'll be fun, but a learning experience for all of us. And we're also on the agenda talking about the new GASB statements, because there's always new GASB statements, and that's what we love. One that we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago with Shenandra and the rest of the team. One of the standards we talked about was a new compensated absences standard. And overall, we're not envisioning it having too much of an impact, because you're already recording a liability. And compensated absences being the time that employees have earned but have not been paid for yet, right? So their vacation time, their sick leave time, anything that they're going to be paid out for, or more likely than not be paid out for or take. And so the standard really clarifies to make sure everybody's doing it the same way. it also says things that you don't record a liability for if you had an unlimited PTO policy, which you don't, but like it clarifies you don't record a liability for that. One of the questions that was asked was that may impact you actually, was that if you had a pool, so like if people donated time to a pool and then they could take it, right? Like it's not assigned to any one employee. This is very common at school systems, especially, but if you have people who are donating time to a pool, you do have to record a liability for that now. And you would do it, record that liability using an estimated pay rate that would be representative of the population. So it's going to be like an estimate of an estimate, but the idea is in the standard that you're going to be paying it out. So if you're most likely going to be paying it out, we need to figure out what that value is. That standard's not applicable for FY23 though. So you do have a little bit more time on that. But just knowing that there may be an additional liability out there that has not yet been recorded. That's going to be something, to start having conversations about. So it's on everybody's radar. The standard that is applicable for FY23 is GASB 96, the SPIDA standard, subscription-based information technology arrangements. And this is very much piggybacking off of the lease standard that was applicable last year. There's going to be a lot. And there's no way to sugarcoat that. There are a lot of agreements out there that are going to qualify as SPIDAs. But what we're finding is that just because something qualifies as a SPIDA, it does not mean that you automatically have to record a liability for that. There are some outs, if you will, one of which are agreements that are only for 12 months. And it does seem that a lot of IT contracts are on an annual basis, so that you do not have to record those under the GASB 96. There's also, if you want to set a threshold like we do for capital assets, a threshold whereas over the life of the agreement, say $10,000, right? You don't have to record those if you want to go the route of setting a threshold. It is going to take a lot of legwork to figure out what you have to record and what we can get by with not recording. So I know Addison, if you want to share, Addison had already sent some templates and stuff. So if you want to share what's included in those items, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, so I've sent 4 templates. The first one is really not a template at all. It's just a copy of the standard. So it's always helpful to read through that. So that's one of them. The second one is actually from GFOA. It's an Excel-based spreadsheet example of how a SPIDA would be recorded from the beginning through the end, the different phases that can be involved in it. I'm a very visual person, so I find it very helpful to kind of see that. And then in actuality, what we've seen a lot of our clients have decided to do is start moving towards using something like Lease Crunch or Debt Book to actually record their SPIDAs. So this is just kind of showing, the inputs that go into the calculation that for a lot of our clients, Debt Book or Lease Crunch is going to end up doing for them. The third one is kind of a little decision tree on the 6 main criteria that could cause something to meet the definition of a SPIDA, and then whether or not it needs recorded. And a lot of our clients that we've passed that to have been taking that and then running with it. They're adding to it, or they're adding, if something does meet, or if it doesn't meet the criteria, why that is, and then, maybe where they noted that in the contract, or what terms they're under for that. And then the fourth one is really just kind of something to get your brain going and thinking about maybe things that you hadn't thought about. So it's kind of geared towards our larger municipalities, but what I've seen is when we pass that out to people, maybe somebody that works in AP or procurement or something is going to think of something by looking at something else on the list. So it's kind of a catch-all, but it certainly isn't all encompassing. It's just something to start thinking about, maybe other things you hadn't been aware of. For me, the one thing that sticks out that I never really thought about is the lunch number system that schools would have, where the kid goes up and they punch in their lunch number to buy their lunch. I never would have thought about that had somebody not put that on the list and then shared it. So those are kind of the 4 things that I've been passing out. Speedas are going to be a work in progress throughout the year. And there's certainly going to be a lot of questions about it, but kind of as Megan said, we don't think that it's going to cause a huge impact on the actual financial statements. However, certainly it's going to be a lot more work on the back end of things, getting things prepared, reviewing the contracts, stuff like that. So
start now.
Yeah.
Or start yesterday. Yeah. But we have been getting, and I'll say we've been getting a lot of questions from clients on, hey, I came across this contract. What do you think? And so don't hesitate if in this process you come across anything and want to ask questions about it. We do enjoy reading standards and figuring things out. So.
Fantastic. Thank you all. Does anybody have any questions for Megan or Addison?
Will there be like a summary sheet on what was all just said sent out to us?
Yeah, we can both type something up and send it out to you guys.
Like SPITA. How do you spell SPITA?
SBITA. It's an acronym.
SBITA. I missed that.
Yeah. So some people don't say it the way we say it. So don't take that as law.
Well, I was sitting here putting it in the Google machine. I'm like, I'm spelling it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you like, I can actually, I'll share those 4 resources. I'll just attach them in an email to everybody that's on the email thread for the invite I received here. And I can kind of include a quick snip of what I had sent Jackson and Shenandra as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the audit engagement, where we're going? I know we'll return later in the fall, some more of the November, December timeframe, or in November, early December to do the follow-up. So this is just the first step of the audit and the audit conversation. We'll follow up later in the fall with the final product. But any other questions for our new auditors or for the process? I just want to say, again, I'm super excited to have Brown Edwards as a partner. The Brown Edwards has a great reputation, a great experience in local government audits, in GASB review and GASB work. I'm super encouraged about the dialogue and engagement thus far. I'm really looking forward to the continual engagement we have with staff through different training opportunities. For the committee's benefit, I do want to recognize that Brown Edwards is a regular speaker at the VGFOA conferences. So that's the Virginia Finance Officers Association conferences. And so I think we have some great partners in our audit firm. So I'm looking forward to this upcoming audit season. So Megan, Addison, thank you. We look forward to continue working together. Moving through the next item on our agenda, this is for Lindsay Huff. She will be presenting an update on our agreed upon procedures, or our AUP process that we worked through with our volunteer fire rescue companies. And this is as a little bit of a tee up for the committee members. We've had a conversation about the AUP process over the past 2, if not more, audit committee presentations. And so this is just the next iteration, the next step, and an update of where we are currently, and then a foreshadow of where we're going. So Lindsay, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Jacob. I appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to share with you an update about the agreed upon procedures, or you will also hear us call them the AUP. This is the update today will include the current reporting cycle for fiscal year 22, and I'm going to touch on the preparation for the next reporting cycle for FY23. This is the second year of collecting the AUPs from the volunteer fire rescue companies. And to give you a little bit more background, the county provides funding to the companies for fire and rescue services, and the AUP helps the county to fulfill its fiduciary responsibilities, to reduce risk and liability to the county, and identify challenges to the operation of the fire rescue system, and to ensure that that each company is in compliance with requirements set forth by the county. The AUPs are performed by an independent accountant on behalf of the company, and their findings are then presented to the county. Since the last audit committee meeting update in June of last year, the procedures were updated for fiscal year 22. And then they were sent out in early December to the companies, which is a little later than we anticipated, and then due back at the end of February. The areas included for review in the FY22 procedures were budget to actual comparison, membership and staffing, governance structure like bylaws, fixed assets, the use of county funds, and the use of other funds. To date, we've received 6 of the 8 AUPs from the companies. One company turned it in on time. One company turned it in within 30 days of the due date. 6 companies encountered a challenge with their auditor, with 4 of the reports coming in the last few business days, leaving 2 remaining that we're should be receiving in the next week or so. Of the 6 received, generally speaking, there were no notable discrepancies and only one exception requiring follow-up. We'll be using the FY22 AUP to begin the reporting cycle for 23. So we'll start with those and then refine them to better pinpoint the information we're collecting and hopefully achieve some efficiencies. We'll also be adding a new section for the fuel reimbursement program introduced in FY23. And we also intend to provide the AUP guidance earlier to the companies to align with their audit work. They have the same fiscal year as the county, and they are engaged with their auditors over the summer as well. And we're hoping that aligning that timing will be an efficiency for them and their auditors and bring an additional benefit to the county so that we receive all of their information for their budget request at one time. So that is the current update. Did anybody have any questions?
And I'm just going to add a little bit on the change, and so hit the past, this 2 times that we've requested the AUP work to be completed. That work has been completed more in late fall, early winter to spring. We still have 2 that are still outstanding. What we're trying to do with this change in the timing is to align the work that the auditors for the volunteer fire companies are doing with their annual audit with the AUP work, because it's typically, it is the same auditors that they use to do the same work and are essentially looking at similar data. The data for fixed assets, for instance, would be the same information that they have for fixed assets on their annual financial report. The idea is also to have that efficiency gain there, but also at the same time when the volunteer fire companies submit their budget requests in the fall, one of the requirements is that you submit your audit. And we also are now going to have them include their AUP. So as we are evaluating volunteer fire companies' budget requests, we have as much information as possible when we're looking at the request. We have a good indication of their financial status and their financial or their fiscal health through their annual financial report, and also a little bit more of a deeper dive into their details, financial details with the AUP. The AUP also gives us an opportunity to look at some of their operational compliance. That's what the rosters comparison that we look at in the AUP as part of that as well. So we recognize it's going to feel like a back-to-back AUP adventure for these volunteer fire companies. I think once we get over this back-to-back time cycle, that'll become a regular occurrence, and there'll be less stress on the volunteer fire companies and on the auditors as they try to align both their audit activity and their AUP work. And that was one of some of the feedback and observations that we made, that the springtime is really busy for the auditors, particularly because they have tax season, and it's more timely for us if we can get the information earlier. So we're looking to make this shift. Any questions from the committee on the AUP and the AUP process?
Nope.
Well, this is going to continually be, and as this program evolves and as it continually grows, we'll have regular updates for the audit committee. As we refine the process, obviously, this is a good forum for us to bring any challenges or issues that we noted. Lindsay noted there's one exception. It was more of a minor exception, so it's something that we just need additional information on. But this is a good forum to have that checks and balance of doing our due diligence and doing our fiscal stewardship with our voluntary fire company, especially with investments we make in their operations. Right. Well, I'm gonna open it up for any other comments or questions from the committee members at this time. Lindsay, thank you for that update. Greatly appreciate it. I'm setting a high standard and a high mark on the efficiency of the audit committee on my first go around as chair. So I hope I haven't jinxed myself for future meetings. Seeing no other comments or any other questions from the committee, just a reminder, we will be coming back and having our second meeting of the year later in the fall. This either be in late November, early December. We'll work on getting that on everyone's calendar and on everyone's schedule, and we'll notice the meeting accordingly. That one will, for preparation purposes, will be in person. This was our virtual meeting for the year, so that one will be an in-person meeting. And I know the bulk of that time will to be review the results of the process that we started today with Brown Edwards and reviewing the results of our annual financial report. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and adjourn the May 31st, 2023 audit committee meeting. Thank you all.
Thanks, Jacob.